What's up, brothers? We are back at it, and in today's video we are gonna watch the video the worst fake speedruns of all time. So let's get started. Let's dig right into it.
Hello, you absolute legends. As I've said before, cheating exists in every single competition, and speedrunning is no exception. We've even covered some examples of speedrunners doctoring videos and demos in order to try and fool people into believing their claims of impressive feats. It may seem counterintuitive, but you'd be surprised at how often it's some of the best players that inevitably try to fake runs. You might think that having the talent to achieve a world record would make someone less susceptible to cheating, but it often works against them. Having talent tends to make people feel entitled. They feel like they deserve the world record, and when the game they play doesn't give them the luck they need, they become increasingly frustrated. On top of this, having talent and deep knowledge of a game makes you a better cheater. You know what tools to use and how to hide your edits. You understand what does or doesn't make sense, what is or isn't possible, and what's believable. When top players cheat, it's almost always detected by other top players looking much deeper than a normal spectator might. In Super Mario 64, multiple world record holders have been caught splicing runs by using audio analysis combined with a healthy knowledge of what the Nintendo 64 can and can't output. But these runs went under the radar for years because the discrepancy is so slight that to any normal viewer, it looks exactly the same as any other run. The fact that better players make better cheaters means that arguments such as, "he's such a good player, he has no reason to cheat," are fundamentally flawed.
Yeah, one thing here already, like just thinking about, audio stuff, like fakes and speedrunning. Very happy that it's much trickier these days to actually get away with these things. Way back, we didn't have the knowledge, the tools available, and it was much easier to get away with it. So especially in the early days, a lot of these things were much more frequent, and this whole entitlement aspect. Good runners, they often are capable of a better time than they actually have, but they have to work really hard for it. So of course, I'm not trying to say that it's okay to ever cheat, but I do agree with the concept that it sounds like Carl is trying to describe here, that some of them, they feel so much that I can get this time, so I should get it. I deserve to get this time. And yeah, some people clearly end up making the incorrect decision.
When Billy Mitchell and Todd Rogers were exposed as frauds, this was one of the most common arguments their defenders tried to make. If anything, having a better understanding of a game makes you even more likely to cheat, which is why at the top level, proof standards are so important. I myself could craft a fake speedrun that I'm sure 99.9% of you would completely miss, because I know enough about the games I play to make it believable. But what would happen if I tried to fake a speedrun for a game I didn't play? This would make it much harder to do. It would perhaps make it impossible. If you don't play the game, you're probably going to have to steal the footage from other players. Once you've done that, you'll have to combine them in a way that makes it seem unique, but then you're leaving yourself open to continuity errors. As a speedrunner, I know generally how splices should or shouldn't be done, so I could pull off some pretty fantastic edits, but I would have no idea if what I'm stringing together makes any sense. What about if you weren't a speedrunner at all, but were still hell-bent on trying to fake a speedrun? Well, it just so happens we have an example of this very thing, and it's one of the worst abominations of a faked speedrun I've ever seen. Now generally, some random noob trying to look cool by editing together a fake speedrun isn't that interesting, but the monstrosity we will examine today was crafted by a YouTube channel with over 40 million subscribers, and the video in question has millions of views. The video contains every sin under the sun: stolen speedruns, impossible gameplay, terrible, baffling editing. It's truly a work of art, and today, we will break it apart.
I like how he describes it as art.
The video in question comes from the Mexican...
The thing is also if you're really bad at the game as well, even if you are a no one in a speed game, for example, and you release a video of a new world record, right? Even if the run is legit, people will already be a bit suspicious, especially if it's an older, more established community. Let's say someone came around, hypothetically speaking, some new runner came around and got the 120 star world record in SM64. even if the run was hypothetically not a fake one, people would be extremely suspicious, right? Considering the amount of time and effort it actually takes to get up to that level. We're talking many, many, many years. So if someone came around and was like, no one knows who this person is, I mean, it's already like, you need to like very, very clearly have solid proof that it's a legit run, right? So that's also like a thing, right? Like if you're not well known, it's gonna be even more scrutinized in a sense. And I mean, I think it's good that speedrun communities more and more, they have very high standards and verification processes. And even if you're well known, it's not like you get like a privilege that, oh, you know, I didn't live up to this verification process, but it's fine because people know who I am. It's like, nope, this process, everyone have to go through it, and that's it. And that's really good. That's the way it should be.
Channel, Barabon. It is one of the largest channels on YouTube with over 42 million subscribers. According to their Wikipedia page, they specialize in the creation of original and viral content. Keep the word original in mind throughout this video. On the 17th of December 2017, they uploaded a video titled Pasando Super Mario en 5 minutos, which translates to Passing Super Mario in 5 minutes. The description states, join us to see how our friend Tavo Betancourt, in a relaxed and fun way, plays this legendary 80s Super Mario video game incredibly in just 5 minutes. He has a pretty nice layout containing the essentials like a timer and heart rate monitor. I wonder where he got the inspiration to include those. The premise is simple. Tavo is going to finish Super Mario Bros. In 5 minutes, which honestly isn't that crazy of an accomplishment. Over 100 speedrunners have already
like
done
the
it,
pizza,
so it's really nothing too amazing.
Pizza, the soda.
Tavo isn't a speedrunner, and despite not being incredibly difficult, beating Super Mario Bros. In 5 minutes does take some time to learn how to do. Tavo has his own YouTube
so many
career
people
to worry
have sub
about,
5.
with his personal channel having almost 5 million subscribers, so I assume he is pretty busy. As I mentioned earlier, if you are not a speedrunner and you want to try and fake a speedrun, your only option is to steal footage from somewhere else, which is exactly what Tavo does. The choice of footage doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense though, and this might be because he has no clue about Super Mario speedrunning, but he chooses a tool-assisted speedrun. The TAS was made by KLMZ in 2008, and from the first moment of the speedrun, we find out why it was a bad choice. The TAS uses a technique known as fast acceleration, which is performed whenever Mario starts from a standstill in order to get to max speed in the quickest manner. The problem with this technique though is that the inputs require you to press left and right on the same frame. While the software does technically allow these inputs to happen, they aren't possible to do on a regular Nintendo controller because of the way the D-pad functions. It is for this reason that the technique is banned from use in speedrunning.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that's why the TAS with non-RTA strats, so like strats that are not literally feasible for a human to do, right? Since the NES controller can do the left-right press simultaneously, you literally can't beat the game as fast from a theoretical standpoint on an NES controller compared to like if you played like on an emulator where you could like remap stuff. So yeah, and also like that technique at the start as well is like just like fast acceleration in general. Like my knowledge on this particular game isn't like too high, but I think that's like the one frame remaining from like humans tying the TAS like stage by stage essentially in this game. So like people's best times, humans have achieved the same time as TAS for the original Mario Bros. I believe on every stage besides the final one, and it's like one frame on the final stage right at the start where you do like some weird acceleration start. But yeah, not like the left right one, since that's not feasible on the NES controller.
So aside from the fact that fast acceleration is too difficult to pull off, even if it were possible, Tavo is using a regular controller and wouldn't be able to do it even if he had the talent. This TAS-only fast acceleration isn't to be confused with the difficult maneuvers speedrunners do actually use in runs, which is also called fast acceleration. This is a much easier, albeit still difficult set of inputs that are at least possible to execute. One really bizarre thing about this video is the sound and music. It has been pitched weirdly so it doesn't sound anything like it should.
I think this guy's performing well so far. I like it. Performing very well.
There might be a couple of reasons this was done. The first being the fear of the music triggering YouTube's copyright protection. The other might be a way to make it seem different from the footage that was being stolen. Either way, it just sounds strange. When Tavo takes the shortcut in the first level, it seems normal at first glance, but there is something that is not quite right. I'm going to play the shortcut and then pause it for a few seconds. See if you can identify what's wrong with the run. If you want to try and work it out, you'll probably need to watch it a few times.
Oh, I'm actually not quite sure. I mean, I never watched this game.
Congratulations to those who managed to figure it out. The problem here is that Tavo collects 11 coins in the room, but the coin counter goes up by 12. For some reason, he decided to use footage from a different run for the shortcut. My only guess is that he wanted to make it less obvious that the run was stolen, so he figured if he spliced different runs together, it would be less traceable. The problem with splicing different runs together is that the points and coins won't match up between levels. Tavo was keenly aware of this.
I mean that's
was to crop the top display
that's bad.
From the original
I actually didn't thought about it myself, but of course, like if you have to verify runs on a leaderboard, these are of course things someone working with this would be looking for. But I mean, so far, since it's been so many mistakes already, I mean, I can't imagine this person thought he was gonna get away with it. I mean, this person have a big channel, but I'll be honest, I do not know who this person is. But yeah, knowledgeable people obviously could break it down quickly that he did indeed cheat. Oops.
Really poorly done though, and this brings some pretty funny consequences, as we'll see later. If you were really astute, you would also have noticed that the cropped display includes some of the texture underneath, causing the top of the graphics to appear distorted, as they aren't properly aligned. If you were really astute, you would have picked up on the fact that the display appeared a couple of frames later than it should have. The display should appear on the same frame as the level textures, but in the video it lags behind. If you were really astute, you would also have noticed that the flashing of the coin in the display does not align with the coins in the level. These are always on the same cycle, so there should be no difference in brightness between the two at any point. I have an inkling about where this footage might be from, but we'll come back to this a bit later. At the end of the level, the TAS performs the flagpole glitch, which skips the lowering of the flag. This trick is definitely doable by a human, and is even performed in the world record runs. The difference though is that there is a specific setup that a human must use if they want to get this trick consistently. The TAS essentially YOLOs it without any setup at all, which is not feasible in any way.
Yeah, so it looks like Cosmic was like slowing down a little bit. Like pulling back a little bit.
Different footage is again stolen, and this time there are some pretty clear artifacts that help us identify exactly where it is from. At a couple of moments you can see a line appear through the graphics. Also, throughout the level you can actually hear clicks from a controller indicating that the footage has been extracted from a live video. The run was stolen from the world record holder at the time known as Darbian, one of the all-time great Super Mario players. Specifically, it's from his run of 4 minutes, 56 seconds and 878 milliseconds, set on the 5th of September 2016. The same lines can be seen in his live footage, and the audio clicks are exactly the same. I'm guessing it was this video that gave Battleborn the inspiration to make their video, given that Darbian's run has millions of views. They likely saw the opportunity to recreate it, and try to make another viral video from it. This is probably why they included a heart rate monitor as well. Speaking of which is completely...
Yeah, that's what Carl was like implying at the start with the heart rate monitor. I was thinking Darbian, but I wasn't fully sure because, yeah, I haven't really watched his stream much, but I'm pretty sure, if not this world record from Darbian, then it was like another one at some point that was like also getting like millions of views, and it was like spread all over many different social medias.
Pointless. It just switches between 85 and 89 for the entire run. I mean, it's obviously fake, but they could have at least tried to make it seem realistic. At the end of 1-2 is where one of the more egregious errors caused by the terribly cropped display happens. When running on the top of the stage to get to the warp pipes, Mario is completely obscured. This is definitely not what is supposed to happen. When he enters the warp pipe, the display at the top disappears before the graphics do, which again is not normal. The display should disappear on the exact same frame as the rest of the level graphics. The reason they fade early is because the display is still going by the timing of the TAS, which does a much faster strategy for 1-2. Therefore it finishes the level early, causing the display to vanish. This ends up making the loading times between levels much faster than they otherwise should be, as that lost time has to be made up to catch up with the TAS. Going back to the shortcut in 1-1, I said I had an inkling a few of the footage belonged to, and it's probably Darbian's as well. The video in the shortcut matches up with the same run that was used for 1-2, but the sound of the controller clicks are pretty bad in Darbian's run during this shortcut, and I think Butterbun thought it was a bit too much, so they tried to fix it by keeping the audio from the TAS run during that section. The audio from the coins that are collected in the room do not match up with what is happening on screen, and the audio matches perfectly with the TAS. Honestly, the shortcut in the TAS doesn't even look inhuman, so I'm not sure why they would have changed it. If anything, it just seems like they're going to as much effort as possible to try and disguise the fact that they are ripping off other people's videos. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned the fact that Tavo is making a complete mockery out of the entire thing by sipping Coke and eating pizza between levels. I'm not...
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier, not even like necessarily only the Coke and pizza thing, but it was almost like he was like, you know, proud and pumped after the first level a little bit. And I feel like no speedrunner would be like, you know, especially if you're actually playing at an absurdly high level, it would be like whatever, right? I mean, over the course of a run, right, you can be like a little bit more nervous and stuff like that if you're on pace, but like, yeah, I just also felt extremely weird. But I mean, obviously it's a fake run. But yeah, I'm actually curious if Carl will bring up what happened like in the, you know, after this actual event. Because yeah, this is very bad so far.
I'm not entirely sure what the motive behind this creative choice was, because one might think they are trying to make it obvious this entire video is a joke, but I'm not too sure about that. Given all of the effort they are going to make this footage seem original, and hide the fact that they stole it, it makes it seem as though they are playing this one straight. The original runs weren't credited, there was no mention that this was a parody or fake or anything, and as you'll see later, he really tries to sell it as real. So I can only take the Coke drinking and pizza eating as him trying to be unironically cool by playing at such a top level while eating and drinking. In my opinion, it just comes off as really douchey though. Back to the run, in 4-1 he goes...
Yeah, the thing is also like, I feel like I don't see any good gamers ever really like, you know, eat super greasy food and then go back to their main controller and playing. I mean, you don't want to like grease down your controller and essentially just like make it worse. A lot of people kind of treat their controllers, you know, significantly better. So yeah, that's, I don't know. Yeah, a little bit mockery maybe, as Carl said. I think that's one way looking at it.
Back to the original TAS with all of the same issues, including the TAS-only fast acceleration and the flagpole glitch with no setup. To illustrate Tavo's cluelessness, before 4-2 begins, he reaches for a slice of pizza, but doesn't even know if he has time or not. The indecisiveness results in his hands being off the controller when Mario starts moving. In 4-2, he steals footage from a different speedrunner. This time it's Cosmic, another one of the all-time greatest Super Mario players. The run that was taken was
he could not have known. He could not have known.
On the 30th of May,
I mean, world record level, but
again,
he doesn't know,
you know, clicks from Cosmic's
how long time he has between the levels.
From the live stream. At a couple of moments, there are some pretty bizarre things happening in the display. A coin here, a brick there. This is because the TAS hits a coin block here, and a brick here. The TAS finishes 4-2 way quicker because it uses a much more complicated strategy in order to change Mario's position, which allows the wrong warp to be performed. You can see how far it is ahead because of how quickly the display disappears compared to the level textures. When Mario appears in the warp zone, we transition back to the original TAS, and the loading time between 4-2 and the warp zone is way quicker than it should be. 8-1 through to 8-3 is just the TAS run with no other runs mixed in. The funny thing about 8-2 is that Mario is facing backwards for the entire time. In order to do this, Mario has to perform a frame-perfect jump every single time he lands. It's kind of baffling why they would go to the trouble of splicing in realistic runs for other levels, but keep in 8-2 from the TAS when it's so obviously unrealistic. It also includes a crazy wall jump right
It is
before
so
the end.
calm
He
and
finishes
relaxed too.
8-3 with 244 left on the clock, something that's impossible to do without the TAS-only fast acceleration at the beginning of the level. Going into Bowser's Castle, his heart rate...
I mean, if this run is actually, like, attempted to be serious, which a lot of things, as Carl described, seems to be the case, right? This is a perfect example of what Carl was talking about, that if you don't actually play the game at a super high level, or at the very least have knowledge about very high level of play, then a lot of these, like, inconsistencies will just instantly be obvious to people that actually run the game. For me, I only know like extremely basics of this game. I've never speedrun it myself, haven't really watched much, so I only know like the name of like a few tricks, but like nothing like deep or complicated really. But yeah, this person obviously knows even less. So yeah, this really proves that if you don't have the knowledge like to someone to do, the inconsistencies will just like keep coming up.
Rate is still chilling at a cool 85. By comparison, when Darbian reached this stage of the run, his heart rate had climbed to 130. The first 3 rooms of Bowser's Castle are just Darbian's run again. All of the previous issues appear due to the cropped display. It appears and disappears at the wrong times, and you can even see the tops of flying fish appear. When it gets to the underwater portion, it transitions back to the TAS. This is also pretty funny because Mario's sprite is all messed up. This happens when the TAS-only fast acceleration is used underwater. Mario is
I've never
stuck in
even
a
seen
state
that
of
before.
facing both left and right, and we are able to maintain that state for the entire duration of the swim because you don't actually need to keep holding right in order to keep your momentum underwater. Andrew G hilariously demonstrated this by juggling while swimming during an AGDQ run.
That's pretty badass. Let's go, Andrew.
Heading into Bowser, the TAS faces backwards until hitting the bridge switch, maintaining frame-perfect jumps in order to do so. His heart rate skyrockets to a blazing 95 beats per minute. Afterwards, when Mario gets to the princess, there is another splice in the footage. I'm guessing this was because they needed to extend the end screen so that Tavo could milk his reaction as much as possible. Speaking of which, Tavo gives one of the greatest performances I've ever seen. Again, I'm confused. Is this supposed to be a casual run or a terrific achievement? Why play the entire thing cool by eating pizza, only to then act like you've done something amazing? The entire presentation is just so incongruent. What's possibly the weirdest thing of all though, is the fact that the timer ends up being 5 minutes and 12 seconds, even though the actual time of the run was 4 minutes and 54 seconds, as that was the final time for the TAS. I am clear.
Yeah, I mean, as shown earlier as well, the leaderboard, it was like 100+ people below 5 minutes. This guy does everything perfect, and you have a time that is like 5:12. I imagine that's not even like top 600, 700. But yeah. Oh my god, dude, I'm getting mad just watching this. It's so stupid.
Clueless as to why the timer doesn't match up with reality. One reason could be that it's obviously just a self-made timer and sucks at being accurate. That is probably the case. The other reason is that they knew the actual time of the TAS run they were basing the display off was faster than the world record, and they thought that beating the record by 2 seconds would make the fact that the run was fake a bit too obvious. But that begs the question, if the final timer was so slow, why did they use such fast runs? They could have just stolen any hundreds of runs that were faster than 5 minutes and 12 seconds and just used an accurate timer. This would have been actually believable. Another weird thing about the video is that he doesn't even start or stop a timer. He clearly hasn't watched any speedruns and has no idea how the speedrunners actually use their timers. The entire video is so strange and weird, and his cluelessness just makes it more bizarre. The saddest part about all of this is that if the channel actually did a video celebrating and explaining the real speedrunners and their achievements, they probably could have gotten similar or even more views. A few months later, the speedrunner Bismuth made a YouTube video explaining the world record, and his video received double the amount of views. He didn't even have the millions of subscribers Badabun had either.
Damn,
Instead,
yeah, that's
he chose
actually a
to-
crazy
he
amount.
didn't
Like he had
even
like
have
what,
the
60?
millions of subscribers Badabun had either.
I'll go back a little bit. It was like 60k subscribers or
A few
something.
months later,
Yeah,
the Speedrunner
60.6
Bismuth
and
made a
almost
YouTube
8
video explaining
million
the world
views.
record,
And that was
his
years
video
ago.
received double
Holy
the
shit,
amount
yeah,
of
that's
views.
crazy.
He didn't even have the millions of subscribers Badabun had either. Instead, he chose to steal footage from legitimate runners that actually put the work in and tried to claim them as his own. There was no credit given whatsoever. It was just a shallow, pathetic attempt at creating a viral video. Original content, my ass. Believe it or not, the real speedrunners still get comments on their videos suggesting that they stole footage from Badabun. It's insane. Even in the event the creators of this video thought everyone would take it as a joke, they still should have given credit where it's due. I really do think this was an honest attempt at trying to fool people in order to get views. Now I want to give a huge shout out to Cosmic for helping out with this video. I found out about this video because Cosmic made a tweet about it after getting yet another comment suggesting that he stole his run from Badabun. If you want to watch legitimate Super Mario gameplay, you should definitely follow Cosmic on Twitch and subscribe to his YouTube channel. I will put a link to both Cosmic's and Darbian's channels in the description. Please go and support real speedrunners. Thank you so much for watching, you legends. I hope you are having a fantastic day, and I will see.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is also like the sad part is that you're gonna have so many people when these type of scenarios happens that it's like, oh, but it's just all fun, it's not that serious, it's just a game. But yeah, I mean, this guy, like, he obviously tried to take advantage, mock speedrunners. So yeah, he tried to take advantage and make money, mock speedrunners, and then in the process probably still had shit ton of people defending it. I mean, like, we all have different hobbies, things we like, things we take serious, and so on. So yeah, this was extremely bad. The only good thing is that it's bad to the point where actual knowledgeable people could expose it as quickly as possible. So I mean, that's the only thing. And yeah, I mean, Carl as well, making this video that also did get a lot of views and brought attention to it to a lot of people. So good stuff to Carl as well. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for this video, guys. Please make sure to give us a follow in case you haven't. Give Carl and the people mentioned in this video as well, not the cheater, but Cosmic and Darbian as well. But yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.